Hello students, how are you? First of all, wish you a very happy new year. I hope you all are fine and safe and you enjoyed Diwali also. Now we are going to study chapter number 8 of science, or you can say first chapter of semester 2. The name of the chapter is body movement.
All of us move different parts of our body while doing different activities on a daily basis. Be it walking, running, speaking to someone on phone, even while reading, writing, playing, swimming and eating. We are moving different parts of our body. You must have noticed that while performing some activities, you just need to move one part of your body. For example, while reading a sentence from a book, you just need to move your eyes, right? But there are many activities. In fact, majority activities. To perform majority activities, you need to move multiple body parts. For example, while dancing. Dancing is an activity where you move almost each and every part of your body, be it your legs, your stomach, your eyes, your hands, your neck, your shoulder, every part of your body you're moving, right? Now let's try to understand the difference between movement and locomotion. Movement is when the living organism moves a body part or parts without any change in the position of the organism. For example, while writing something, you're moving your hand, you're moving your eyes. But this activity is not changing your position. You're just sitting at one place while writing, right? So this is called as movement. Whereas locomotion is when the movement of a part of the body leads to change in the position and location of the organism. For example, while walking, running, swimming, these are the activities. When you perform walking, running or swimming, this activity leads to change in your position, right? So these kind of movements are known as locomotion. So we can say that all locomotions are movements, but all movements are not locomotions, right? Because the movement in which your position is not changing is not locomotion, right? Okay. You must have noticed that even when you are not doing anything, some body movements are always happening in our body, right? For example, we are blinking our eyes every time we are breathing, our heart is beating, the food is getting churned in our stomach, digestion process is happening. So there are so many body movements that are continuously happening inside our body also and outside our body also, right? Okay, so let's understand about these body movements in detail in this chapter. Okay, so while doing physical exercises, you can bend your leg from here, you can bend your arm from here, right? Now, if I ask you, try to bend your leg from this point or try to bend your arm from this point, will you be able to do that? No, right? Similarly, if I ask you that tie a scale to your arm like this and then try to bend your elbow, will you be able to do that? No, you won't be able to bend your elbow. Let's look at the reason. So, we are able to bend or rotate our body in places where bones meet. Now look at this one. This is human skeleton system. We know that human skeleton system consists of 206 bones and there are number of joints present as you can see. For example, look at this one. This is your upper thigh bone and this is your lower leg bone and there is a joint present here, your knee joint, and that is why you are able to bend your knee from this point. Similarly, there is a joint present over here between your upper thigh bone and your hip bone. That is why you can move your leg from here. There is a joint present over here. There is a joint present over here. There are number of joints present at various places. So we are saying that we are capable of moving our body only at places bones meet, where there are joints. Okay, so that is the reason that you cannot bend your arm from this point or your leg from this point. Why? Because there is no joint present over here, right? You can only bend your arm from this place because there is a joint present over here. And similarly, you can bend your leg from this point because there is a joint present here. You cannot bend your leg from here or somewhere here. Okay. Now, same is the reason for this one also. You cannot bend your elbow when scale is tied to your arm because now your joint is incapable of functioning, and that is why you cannot bend your elbow. Okay, so now let's study about joints in detail. Joints. Joints are places where bones meet. For example, this is your upper thigh bone, this is your lower leg bone, and this is your knee joint because here two bones are meeting. You can also say that a joint is a point in the body where two or more bones meet. You can define joints in either way. Let's move forward and understand about joints in detail. Okay, so this is a joint. As you can see, this is your bone number 1, this is your bone number 2, and they are meeting at a point, and this is called as joint. If you look carefully, you will observe that these two bones are not in direct contact of each other. There is a smooth tissue present over here at the end of the bone, and there is a fluid present over here. Let's study about them. So this smooth tissue is called as cartilage. Cartilage is a type of smooth tissue that covers the surface of a bone at a joint. Now, let's study about the function of cartilage. So, cartilage helps to reduce the friction of movement within a joint. So, cartilage prevents damage to the end of the bones. So, this smooth tissue helps in reducing the friction during movement of bones. Okay. Also, a clear sticky fluid is secreted by the synovial membrane. As you can see, this is the clear sticky fluid secreted by synovial membrane, and it provides lubrication and reduces friction. So we can say that together this cartilage and the synovial membrane helps in reducing the friction during movement and provides lubrication. Okay, so now you must have observed that we are able to move few parts of our body easily in various directions, right? And few parts in only one direction. In fact, we are unable to move some parts at all. So, what's the reason for this? Because there are different types of joints present in our body, which helps us to carry out different movements and activities. And different joints allow different degree of movement. So the type of movement, the degree of movement depends upon the type of joint present at a particular place. Okay, so let's study about these joints, these types of joints in detail. Types of joints. So we are going to study about 4 types of joints: ball and socket joint, hinge joint, pivotal joint, and fixed joint. So, fixed joint is present in our skull, ball and socket joint is present in shoulder and hip, hinge joint is present in elbow and knee, and pivotal joint is present in neck. Okay, we will now study about each one of them in detail. Let's first study about ball and socket joint. To understand ball and socket joint, imagine you have a ball, a rolled paper, and an empty bowl. Now, what you have to do? Take this bowl and make a hole like this one in your ball, and then fix your rolled paper in this hole like this. So this becomes your bone number 1, and this is your bone number 2. So your bone number 1 has a rounded structure or a ball at the end, and your bone number 2 has a cavity or hollow space inside it. Imagine this is like an empty bowl. So this has hollow space inside it, right? So in ball and socket joint, your one bone with a rounded structure at the end or ball at the end fits inside the cavity or the hollow space of the other bone. Look at this picture. This is your bone number 1 with a rounded structure or ball at the end of it, and this is your bone number 2 with a cavity or hollow space, right? Now this rounded structure will fit inside the cavity of this bone, and they will make ball and socket joint. The rounded end of one bone fits into the cavity of the other bone. Such a joint allows movement in all direction. Now ball and socket joint allows movement in all direction. So ball and socket joint is present at your shoulder and your hip, right? Your ball and socket joint is present over here and over here. The type of joint between your upper arm and your shoulder is ball and socket joint, and again the type of joint between your upper thigh bone and your hip bone is your ball and socket joint. Now ball and socket joint allows movement in all directions. In fact, it allows the greatest degree of movement. That is the reason that while bowling a ball or while doing skipping, you can move your arms both in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction in 360-degree rotation, right? You're capable of moving your arms in different ways, like this, like this, like this, just because there is a ball and socket joint present over here, and it allows the greatest degree of movement. It allows greater flexibility. Similarly, we know that ball and socket joint is present over here also. That is why your legs are so much flexible. You can move your legs in different way. You can move your legs from this point in different way, like this also, like this also, like this also, right? So that is due to ball and socket joint present over here between your upper thigh bone and your hip bone. Okay, we will now study about hinge joint. Hinge joint. Let's first understand why this joint is called as hinge joint. If you look carefully, this particular structure, this particular thing present in your door is called as hinge, okay? Over here. And due to this hinge, it allows movement of the door only in one direction. For example, this door can open only inwards. It cannot open in the outward direction. And this particular door can open only in the outward direction, not towards the inward direction. So hinge basically allows movement only in one direction. And this particular joint present in our elbow and our knee is called as hinge joint because it also allows movement only in one direction, allows only back and forth movement. The following body parts are hinge joints, elbow and knee. So hinge joints are present in elbow and knees. Now look at this one. Due to hinge joint present in your elbow, you can only move your elbow in this direction, in upward direction. Can you move your elbow from this point in this direction? No, right? You cannot do that because hinge joint allows movement only in one direction. Now look at this one. Hinge joint is also present in your knee joint, right? Your knee joint is also hinge joint. And due to this, you can move your leg from this point only in this direction. You cannot move your leg in this direction because hinge joint allows movement only in one direction. Okay, let's move forward. Pivotal joint. As we know that pivotal joint is present in our neck region. Okay, so the joint where our neck joins the head is a pivotal joint. It allows us to bend our head in forward and backward direction and turn the head to our right and left. This joint even allows rotation. You can rotate your head, right? So in a pivotal joint, a cylindrical bone rotates in a ring-like structure. As you can see here, this is a cylindrical bone and it rotates in a ring-like structure. Now, I told you that due to pivotal joint, you can bend your head forward, backward, you can see to your left, to your right? It allows this kind of movement. But as we have studied in ball and socket joint, that while bowling a ball, you can rotate your arm in complete circle like this, right? Both in clockwise and anti-clockwise direction. In pivotal joint, you cannot completely rotate your head in the backward direction. You cannot do 360-degree rotation movement, right? Because this joint doesn't allow this kind of movement. That's why I told you earlier that ball and socket joint allows the greatest degree of movement. It is a very flexible joint. It allows the greatest degree of movement. Okay? Let's move forward and study about fixed joint. Now there are some bones in our head that are joined together at some joints. The bones cannot move at these joints and such joints are called as fixed joint. Fixed joints are present in our skull. Okay, so when you open your mouth wide, you move your lower jaw away from your head, right? Look at this picture. When you open your mouth, you're moving your lower jaw away from your head, right? You're moving your lower jaw in this direction, away from your head. Now, can you also move your upper jaw away from your head? Try to do that. Can you move your upper jaw away from your head? You cannot do that. Why? Because there is a joint between the upper jaw and the rest of the head, which is a fixed joint. Between your upper jaw and rest of the head, there is a joint which is a fixed joint. In fact, in your entire skull, there is only one movable joint. That is the joint which is present between your lower jaw and rest of the head. Rest, all the joints are fixed and the bones cannot move as these joints. Okay. So now we have completed our types of joint. We have studied about ball and socket joint, hinge joint, fixed joint and pivotal joint. Now let's move forward and understand our next topic. Alright, we will now study about human skeleton system in detail. All the bones in our body form a framework to give shape and support to our body, and this framework is called as skeleton. Now skeleton performs very important function. It protects our internal organs from injury. It also helps in movement of body. And we know that in human beings, this system is made up of 206 bones and a few cartilages. Okay, let's study about skeleton system in detail. But before that, how do we know that this is the shape of human skeleton system? Or how do we know the shape of the different bones in our body? So you can get a rough idea about your bones, about the shape of your bones by feeling it. And the accurate picture of the bones in our body is provided by X-ray images. So with the help of X-ray images, we got to know the shape of human skeleton system. Okay, let's move forward and study about human skeleton system in detail. First, we will study about skull. Now, the skull is made of 22 bones joined together. It encloses and protects a very important part of our body, that is brain. See how delicate our brain is, and the skull acts as a natural helmet to our brain, and it protects our brain, the very important part of our body. Skull also protects our eyes, ears, nose. It gives shape to our head. And we already know that all bone of skull are immovable except lower jaw, right? Because all of them have fixed joint except the joint where our lower jaw is connected to rest of the head. Okay. Moving forward, let's now talk about rib cage. So there are 12 pairs of rib. This is our rib cage. The ribs join the chest bone in the front and the backbone in the backside, and together they form a box, a cage-like structure. As you can see, these are the 12 pairs of ribs. These ribs are joined together in the front to our chest bone. This is our chest bone. And these ribs are joined in the back to our backbone. This bone is our backbone. The chest bone is also called as sternum, and the backbone is also called as vertebral column. So together they are forming a cage-like structure, and this is called as rib cage. Some important internal parts of our body lie protected inside this cage. For example, our heart and lungs. These important organs are protected by this cage. This is our rib cage. As you can see, there are 12 pairs of ribs. In the front, they are joined to our chest bone. So this is our chest bone, and in the back side, this long bone, this is our backbone. These ribs are joined to backbone, and they are forming a cage-like structure, and our heart and our lungs are protected inside this rib cage. Okay. So we will now study about backbone or spine or vertebral column. So this is your backbone. As you can see in the picture, this is your backbone. Okay. Now, it runs from neck to hips. As you can see, your backbone runs from neck to your hips. It is made up of 33 small bones called vertebrae placed vertically upon each other. As you can see, this backbone is made up of 33 small bones, and these bones are placed one above the other. They are placed vertically above each other, and it is called, each one of them is called as vertebrae. Now, the major function of the backbone is protection of the spinal cord. As you can see, this yellow shaped structure, this is our spinal cord, and our backbone protects this spinal cord. This spinal cord is present inside the hollow cavity of our backbone. Spinal cord provides the main support to our body. It allows us to stand upright, bend and twist. It is the main support system of our body, right? Also, shoulder bones, rib cage and hip bones are all joined to backbone. As you can see, your shoulder bone, your rib cage and your hip bones are all joined to your backbone, right? Okay, so this was all about backbone. Let's move forward and study about shoulder bone. Okay, so human body has two shoulders, left and right, right? Shoulder bone is formed by collar bone, which is also called as clavicle, and shoulder blade, which is also called as scapula. Now, this is your collar bone, the clavicle, this one, and this part is your shoulder blade, also called as scapula. Now, collar bone is a curved bone, as you can see, and the shoulder blade. Now, your upper arm bone is joined to the shoulder blade by ball and socket joint. As you can see, your upper arm joins to this shoulder blade by ball and socket joint. Okay. This bowl-shaped structure at the lower end of the spine to which our legs are attached. As you can see, your legs are attached to your pelvic bones. Now, pelvic bones enclose the portion of your body below the stomach. This is the part we sit on. Okay. It connects to the spine and to the leg bones at the hip joints. As you can see, this pelvic bone connects to the spine and to the leg bones at hip joints. It protects the bladder, both large and small intestine, male and female reproductive organs. So, this is the main important function of pelvic bone, that it protects the bladder, it protects your large and small intestine, it protects your reproductive organs. This is the part on which you sit. Okay. Now, this is your pelvic bone, and these two bones, these large bones, are called as hip bone. Moving forward, let's now talk about cartilage. We have already studied about cartilage. So, cartilage is a smooth tissue. Now, touch this part of your earlobe, and also touch this part of your ear. You will feel a significant difference. This part is quite soft, and this part, the upper part of your ear, is not as soft as your earlobe, but not as hard as a bone. This is because cartilage is present in upper part of your ear. Similarly, cartilage is also present in your nose. On the left and to the right of your nose, cartilage is present. You can feel that. So, part of the skeleton that are not as hard as the bones and which can be bent are cartilage. Now, we already know that cartilage is also present in joints. We have studied about this, right? The friction created due to movement of bones is reduced by cartilage. Also, cartilage is present in the vertebrae of backbone. We have studied about backbone, right? There are 33 small vertebrae placed vertically one above the other. So, cartilage is present in between them. So, we can say that it is present in ear, nose, joints between vertebrae of backbone. Alright, let's move forward. Okay, so let's now study about muscles. Muscles are soft tissues. They have ability to contract. Now, they are attached to bones by tendons. Okay, now look at this one. When you move your arm in the upward direction, you can feel your muscle over here, right? Your bicep muscle. Now these muscles are attached to bones. Now this is the bone. This is the bone of your lower arm. Now these muscles are attached to the bones by tendon. So this is called as tendon. Okay. All movement in the body is controlled by muscles. Our bones move by the contraction and extension of our skeletal muscles. Two muscles work together to move a bone. So let's understand this in detail. Okay, so what we are saying is when you try to move your arm in the upward direction, this particular muscle, the bicep muscle, contracts, right? As you can see in the picture, it is contracting, and the other pair relaxes. So the bones move by contraction and relaxation of muscles. Now when you move your arm in the opposite direction, or you bring back your arm to the original position, now this particular one, the bicep muscle will come in relaxed state, and this particular muscle, the tricep muscle, will contract. So when one of them contracts, the bone is pulled in that direction, the other muscle of the pair relaxes. To move the bone in the opposite direction, the relaxed muscle contracts to pull the bone towards its original position while the first one relaxes. So, if one contracts, the other one relaxes. If other contracts, the first one relaxes. And this is how, by muscle contraction and relaxation, the bone is moved. A muscle can only pull, it cannot push. Alright? So as you can see in this picture also, when this muscle is contracting, the bone is pulled in this direction, and when it comes in the relaxed state, the bone is moved in the opposite direction. It moves to its original position. So by muscle contraction and relaxation, the bone is moved. Studied about human body movements, we have studied about types of joints, human skeleton system. Now we will study about how animals move, or the gait of animals. Gait means a particular way of walking. There are different ways by which animals move from one place to another. If we talk about human beings, it's quite simple. We use our legs to move from one place to another. If you talk about cow, buffalo, dogs, cat, they walk and run to move from one place to another. A snake slithers. Birds fly. Insects walk also, fly also, crawl also, right? Now fishes swim and move from one place to another. So now we will study about these animals, the earthworms, snails, cockroaches, birds, fish and snakes, and study about them, that how they move from one place to another. Okay? First we will talk about earthworms. Now the body of earthworm is made up of many rings joined end to end. As you can see, this is an earthworm, and as you can see, the body is made up of many rings joined end to end. An earthworm does not have bones, it has muscles only, which help to extend and shorten the body. Now during movement, the earthworm first extends the front part of the body, keeping the rear portion or the back portion fixed to the ground. Okay, so first it will extend the front part of the body and it keeps its back portion fixed to the ground. Then it fixes the front end and then releases the rear end or the back end. It then shortens the body and pulls the rear end forward. This makes it move forward by a small distance. It will first extend the front part of the body, keeping its rear portion fixed. Then it will fix the front end and then it will release the rear end. This is how the earthworm moves through repeated muscle expansion and contraction. Also, the body secretes a slimy substance to help the movement. Let's see how an earthworm moves. As you can see, the earthworm first extends its front part, keeping the rear portion fixed. It will then fix the front part and it will release the rear end. It will extend the rear end. can fix itself in the soil. So under its body it has large number of tiny bristles like this one, hair-like structures projecting out. The bristles are connected with muscles and these bristles help to get a good grip, and that is why earthworm can fix itself in the soil. Now earthworm eats its way through the soil. Its body then throws away the undigested part of the material that it eats. This improves the soil quality. Earthworm is also called as farmer's friend. Okay, we will now study about snail. Snail is a very slow moving animal because snail always carry a rounded structure which is called as its shell on its back. So this is the shell of the snake. It always carries its shell on its back. It is the outer skeleton of the snail, but it is not made of bones. The shell is a single unit and it does not help in moving from place to place. It has to be dragged along. Snail has to carry it always along with it. Okay. Now snail has only one foot. As you can see, this one. The foot of the snail is large, flat and disc shaped. It is large, flat and disc shaped, made up of strong muscle. Snail moves with the help of this foot. Okay, now we will see how a snail moves. See how a snail is moving. This is the shell of the snail. This is the long foot it has and it is moving very slowly, right? Okay, so we will now talk about cockroaches. Cockroaches can walk, climb as well as they can fly in the air. The body is covered with hard outer skeleton which is made up of different units joined together and it permits movement. They have 3 pairs of legs, as you can see, 3 pairs of legs. These help in walking and there are 2 pairs of wings attached to the breast. Okay, as you can see, 2 pairs of wings attached to the breast. The cockroaches have distinct muscles. Muscles near the legs move the legs for walking. Now breast muscles move the wings when the cockroaches fly. So muscles near the legs help the cockroach to move and muscles in the breast muscles help the cockroach to fly. Okay. We will now see how a cockroach moves. Cockroach, 3 pairs of legs, 2 pairs of wings. It can walk, it can climb, it can also fly. Okay, let's now talk about birds. Birds fly in the air and walk on the ground. Some birds like ducks and swans also swim in water. The birds can fly because their bodies are well suited for flying. Their bones are hollow and light, and that is why, because of the light weight, the birds can easily fly in the sky. The hind limbs are used for walking and perching. The forelimbs are modified into wings. The breastbones are modified to hold muscles of flight which are used to move the wings up and down. Birds fly by constant flapping of their wings. We will now see how birds fly. So this is how birds fly, by constant flapping of their wings. Now these are the hind limbs and the forelimbs are modified into wings. The hind limbs are used for walking and perching. Okay, let's now talk about snakes. Snakes have a long backbone. They have many thin muscles. They are connected to each other even though they are far from one another. They also interconnect the backbone, ribs and skin. The snake's body curves into many loops. So snake moves forward by forming these kind of loops. Each loop of the snake gives it a forward push by pressing against the ground. Since its long body makes many loops and each loop gives it this push, the snake moves forward very fast and not in a straight line. Snake never moves in a straight line. It will move by forming these kinds of loop. Each of this loop gives him a forward push. Okay. See how a snake is moving by forming loops. Okay, so we will now talk about fish. The body shape of fish is streamlined. This kind of shape, this kind of shape is called as streamlined shape. The head and the tail of the fish are smaller than the middle portion of the body. The body tapers at both the ends. As you can see, this portion, the head and the tail are smaller than the middle portion, and this shape allows the fish to move in water easily. The skeleton of the fish is covered with strong muscles. Now, during swimming, the muscles make the front part of the body curve to one side and the tail part swings towards the opposite side. The fish forms a curve. Then quickly, the body and the tail curve to the other side. This makes a jerk and pushes the body forward. What I'm trying to say is, firstly, the front part of the body will curve to one side like this, and the tail part will curve to another side. Then quickly this front part will curve to the other side and the tail part will curve to another side, and this makes a jerk and pushes the body forward. A series of such jerks make the fish swim ahead. As you can see, first the front part of the fish curves to one side and the tail curves to other side in this direction, right? Now, quickly this part will curve now to this direction and this part will curve now to this direction, and this creates a jerk, and with the help of these series of jerks, the fish moves forward. The fish can swim, okay? Front part in one direction and the tail part in other direction. Alright students, this was all about the chapter body movements. I really hope you enjoyed the chapter.